Namaste and good morning to all of you. Let's start our Thursday's class with the prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhava Swaha, Tatsavitre Vareneyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Asto ma satgamya, tamso ma jyotirgamya, mrityor ma amritam gamya. Om sehna bhavatu, sehna bhunaktu, saviryam karvavahi, tejasvi nav ditamastu, ma vidvishavahi. Om shanti shanti shanti. These days on Thursdays, we are studying Kathopanishad. And we are in the second chapter and second section. And we ended our class with verse number 11. And this is a dialogue between a young boy, Nachiketa, and Lord of Death, Yamraj. And he asked about the Atma. So he explained it to him in this verse number 11. Just as the sun, the eye of the whole world, is not contaminated by the defects of the external eye, so being the innermost essence in all beings, Atma is not contaminated by external sorrows of the world. Deep message in here. Eka tatha sarvabhut antaratma na lipyate lok dukhen bahya. Sorrows are what? The fluctuations over here, the changes. Changes are only in the Prakriti, not in the Atma. Atma is always self-effulgent, blissful. The minute we start identifying with the essence of us, we don't feel sorrow. Sorrows are always non-identification with the Atma, who we are. This is what we learn from here. So now let's start the class with verse number 12. Ekaha vashi sarvabhut antratma ekam rupam bahuda yakaroti tam atam stam ye anupashyanti dhira te sham sukham shashwatam na itre sham. Ekaha, one, vashi, ruler, sarvabhut antratma, the soul of all beings. Ekam, single, one. Rupam, form. Bahuda, manifold. Ya means who? Kroti, makes. Tam means him. Atam stham, as existing within their own self. Ye means those. Anupashyanti, perceive. Dhiraha, a wise person. Tesham, their. Sukham, happiness. Shashwatam, eternal. Na itre sham, to none else, or to nobody else. That means that one. Supreme ruler, the soul of all beings, who makes his one form manifold. Those wise men who perceive him as existing in their own self, to them belongs eternal happiness, and to none others. We all want to be happy. We want to be happy eternally. Lord of Death is telling us, giving us a recipe over here, how to be happy eternally. And these people are called wise. Wise is a person who has learned how to transcend the limitations of the mind and the intellect. They have learned how to look out through their faculty, which is called intuition. Intuitively, they view everything. And they know that truth is the only experience available at all places, at all times. And this truth is the Brahma, the ruler, the Paramatma, the Ishwar. And the self is the source of the light, which we see through the mind also. And it disperses into innumerable names and form. Same one light. And that's what's called the Jagat. So this wise person, the Dhir, a yogi, in his discriminating wisdom, successfully withdraws his mind's delusory fluctuations. Because with these fluctuations, this mind creates a polarity. But in the deep moment of the meditations, this yogi's awareness comes to be aware of itself as the self. That's why they say that keep on heightening your awareness. Don't keep your awareness only at the grossest level. That's why the yogis, they gave us this beautiful way of doing it with the chakras meditation. When we meditate only on the Muladhara chakra, we are limiting our awareness. When we are move up, 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 the minute we reach the Anahat chakra, awareness has expanded. Compassion and the kindness and the truth shines. Then when it goes even upper than that, here. This is a wise person. This is a yogi. Our consciousness becoming consciousness, conscious of itself. The pure consciousness as the self is the moment of self-realization, which is also called Ishwar Darshan. In bhajans, we sing that. We want that. But this is yogis, they tell us how to practice it also. So in order to enjoy this moment of supreme bliss and wisdom, the individual must be a highly evolved soul. Dhir. Soul over here really means the individualized soul. I'm not talking about the Shuddha Buddha soul. Such a person alone can come to enjoy the eternal bliss. Momentary bliss or the happiness we have seen. But over here, Yamaraj is talking about eternal bliss. That's why he says, this is the experience of continued, unbroken, infinite joy, which all the scriptures talk about too. Unbroken. And is such a wise person who has come to realize their self as the real part of the ultimate truth. Because worldly person is engrossed into the external objects, but the wise person has detached from that. So that's why Yamaraj is making this statement that this kind of a bliss is not available to others, only to the yogis, the wise, who can see this oneness. Nityaha anityanam chetnaha chetnanam eka bahunam ya vidhati ka man tam atamstam ye anupashyanti dhiraha tesham shantihi shashwati na itre sham. This is verse number 13. Nitya, eternal. Anityanam, among non-eternals. Chetnaha, intelligence. Chetna Nam, in the intelligent. Ekaha, one. Bahunam, of many. Ya means who? Vidhati, fulfills. Kaman, desires. Tam means him. Atam, dwelling in their own self. Ye means those. Anupashyanti, perceive. Dhiraha, the wise person. Tesham, to them. Shanti, peace. Shashwati, eternal. Na itre sham, to none else. He, the eternal among non-eternals. The intelligence in the intelligent. Who, though one, fulfills the desires of many. Those wise people, or a wise person, who perceive him as dwelling in their own self, to them belongs eternal peace and to none else. So what is to be realized in us as the self is discussed here? He's giving us enough material to understand intuitively the very nature of the soul, actually. Because that's what Nachiketa wanted to know. What is this soul? Because this outer world, the external world, is a flux, constantly changing. It's a transient play of names and forms. We know that even our own physical form is constantly changing, hour by hour, through all the years of our existence. That's why sometimes it's very hard to even recognize our old pictures. We have changed so much. The circumstances change from moment to moment. Habits change. Mental makeup change. Even intellectual ideas, they are changing. Even so-called spiritual values keep on changing. And nobody can stop the process of growth. If this constant change were to give us the idea of a continuity, there must be some constant denominator that is ever constant. And that denominator is who we are. This unchanging in the flux of changing. Because no world of change would be possible without a base that is unchangeable and unchanging. It's almost like a river. No river can flow without a bed. There's always a river bed. The same way, in all these changing of the body, mind, intellect, values, ideas, there is something unchanging, and that's who we are. And that's what he said, Chetnaha, Chetna Nam, intelligence in the intelligent. When he says, Vidhati Kaman, who fulfills the desires of man? Over here, he's hinting the law of karma. It's a very broad statement for law of karma. Vidhati Kaman. The self or the supreme consciousness is the power behind the law of karma. This body can act only when the Atma is present there. And according to this law of karma, each individual comes to live his allotted share of experiences in his individual life. All the desires, they get fulfilled or not fulfilled. And the consequences of those desires also. What is the power behind? That is the Atma, and this is who we are. So the one who is eternal and the nature of the pure intelligence, who is the force behind the immutable law of karma, is not a mere transcendental vitality. It's divine. It reigns everywhere and in everybody. Let's look at next verse. So throughout, he's just telling us, he's pointing our attention towards the Atma through these. Tat etat iti manyante anirdeshyam paramam sukham katham nu tat vijaniyam kim ubhati va vivati. Tat means that, etat means this, iti thus, manyante perceive, anirdeshyam indescribable, paramam supreme, sukham bliss, katham nu how shall, that means that, vijaniyam I know, kim means who or whether, who means verily, bhati shines, it's like it shines by itself. Va vibhati, va means or, vibhati, does it shine by another light? So this is kind of a question he's putting over here, and he will answer it in the next verse. Whether Nachiketa is putting this question or Yamraj is looking at this question in Nachiketa's eyes. They means the sages perceive that indescribable highest bliss as this is that. Tat etat iti. How shall I know that? Does it shine by itself, or does it shine by another light? So just like we know that the sun shines by itself, but moon sun shines because of a borrowed light. The same way, he's just putting a question over here. Contemplate upon it. Is it Atma's own light? Atma is getting light from somewhere. So as I said earlier, this mantra can be considered as a question raised by the Guru to the disciple, or the disciple, he saw the question in disciple's eyes. But it's a very sincere question. We need to think about it too. So the truth is not perceived or felt or determined. So that means we cannot perceive it, we cannot feel it, we cannot determine it. Because all of this, whether it's a perception or a feeling or determination, they are the function of the sense organs and the mind and the intellect. Over here, we are talking about something which is beyond these, beyond the sense organs, beyond the mind, beyond the intellect. So these three can function only in the area of the polarity, the world of the sense objects, thoughts, ideas. But we are looking at something which is beyond that, our own self. And we have seen it already in the previous mantras, that in order to cognize and understand an object, we need the help of light. We also have found out that for perceiving the gross light of the physical world, in seeing the subtler objects of the mind, such as thoughts, etc., we have the light of the intelligence. But over here, Lord of Death says that the seer, transcending the regions of his mind and intellect, comes to behold the self. So that's why this question comes over here, that you have transcended all your powers. How can you see that then? How can you perceive soul? Kim ubhati? Does it shine by itself? Vibhati or does it shine by another light? because you are not putting any light on it. Where the light is coming from? A lamp is seen because of its own light, as opposed to the dull objects which get the light borrowed. So how does the self becomes aware of itself? Because meditator has hushed the mind and the intellect. There is a complete silence. His awareness becomes conscious of itself. And this is an intuitive experience, not a physical cognition. So that's why this question comes. After experiencing this, is that the light of the wisdom? So he says, where is it getting the light? Or is it full of light by itself? So let's see how he answers it in the next verse, which is the last verse of this chapter. So this is the answer to this question of verse 14. Na tatra suryaha bhati na chandraha tarkam na im vidyuta bhanti kutaha tam eva bhantam anubhati sarvam tasya bhasaha sarvam idam vibhati. No means not, tatra means there. Surya, the sun. Bhati, shine. Na chandraha, nor does the moon. Tarkam, stars. Na imaha, not these. Vidyuta, lightning. Bhantihi, shines. Kutaha, how? I am this Agni, fire. Tam means that, Ev means verily, Bhantam shines, Anubhati shines after. Sarvam all, Tasya by his. Bhasaha by light. Sarvam idam, all these. Vibhati shines. So Lord of Death is saying the sun does not shine there. Nor does the moon, nor do the stars, nor the lightnings, much less this fire. Who he shines. Everything shines after him. By his light, all these shine. This mantra is a very popular mantra. Even though majority of the people, they have forgotten the Upanishads, but this mantra is repeated in all the temples and the pujas. I don't know how many people understand it or not, but it is repeated though. Na tatra surya bhati na chandra tarakam. I'm sure you're all familiar with this mantra. Tatra, tatra means there. Tatra. So over here, Lord of Death is indicating the realm of the self, which is the land of the knowledge absolute. Because it's everywhere. Because we are looking at things on the earth. On the earth, we say, yeah, we have a fire, we have stars, we have sun, we have moon, we have a light because of these. But Atma is not just over here. Atma is everywhere. So that's what he's talking about, that where there's, this sun is not there. Moon is not there. Stars are not there. And let alone the fire. In that plane of divine consciousness, there's no need for another agent of light to illuminate. So in other words, it lights by itself. This light of the Atma is the source of the light for everything. So all the sources of physical light are denied in the realm of truth with this mantra. Where the Lord of Death is saying that there is neither the sun, nor the moon, nor the star, nor the lightning. What can we say about light of the fire? So in summary, there is in this no light, no other light other than itself, its own light. So Anubhati shines after, just keeps on shining. So truth is a substratum for all the seeming activities of life. Where life is extinct, the activities of the sense organs, mind and intellect also have ended. So this light is given in this body by the Atma. Light is given out there because of the Brahma. Its own light. The importance of this verse, why it's repeated, recited in all the temples. It is repeated in other Upanishads also. It's a very powerful mantra, if we can understand the deeper significance of it. Mundak Upanishad, you see the same mantra. Shvetashtvara Upanishad, the same mantra. And in Bhagavad Gita, little bit change in Bhagavad Gita, but if you can go back open your Bhagavad Gita and chapter 15, verse number 6, you will see the same idea. It is so important to understand it. So let me reread it. The sun does not shine there, nor does the moon, nor do the stars, nor the lightnings, and much less this fire. He who shines, everything shines after him. By his light, all these shine. It is so beautiful, so clear. Let's start the next next section actually. This is the last section of this Upanishad. Each section is called a Vali. Vali means like a creeper, the branch. Okay. So this is a Shashti Vali. Verse number 1. Udhurva Mula, Avak Shakha, Esha, Ashvatha, Sanatana. Tat eva shukram tat brahm tat eva amritam uchyate. Tasmin lokaha shrita sarve tat u atyeti na kaschan etat vai tat. Udhurva Mula. I'm sure you remember in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna in chapter 15 used this word Udhurva Mula. That means with the roots upward. Avak Shakha, with the branches downwards. Eshaha, this. Ashvatha. Ashvatha is some people say it's a people tree, or it's some kind of a fig tree or a board tree. Okay, it's like Ashvatha. Sanatana, ancient. Tat eva, that is verily. Shukram, pure. Tat, that. Brahma. Again, tat means that. Eva also. Amritam, immortal. Uchyate is called. Tasmin, in that. Lokaha, the worlds. Shrita, rest. See, just like a word ashrit, rest. Sarve, all. That means that. Who verily. Atyeti, transcends. Na question, none. Etat means this is, ve means verily, tat means that. You are familiar with this idiom, etat vetat. This is the ancient Ashwatha tree, whose roots are above and branches spread below. That is verily the pure, that is Brahma, that is also called the immortal. In that rest all the worlds. None can transcend it. Verily, this is that. So, in order to point out an unseen cause for the seen and experienced effects, he is bringing out this beautiful comparison of this universe with this Ashwatha tree. Okay? This Ashwatha tree, it is so extensive in growth and very sturdy in built, and life is so long. That's why Bhagavad Gita and this Upanishad is also giving us an example of this. It's a very appropriate analogy over here. And what is Udhurva Mulaha? Roots up. It is not in the geometrical sense. This up really means the idea of reverence. That roots are up. Many parts of the tree of samsara, the root is much more sacred. That's why it's Udharva. So the tree of samsara has its roots sucking out its sap from the supreme place, Vishnu Paramam Padam. Supreme place of Vishnu, the all-pervading Atma. So to bring that kind of a reference in our mind. And there can be another reason, these great rishis, they are choosing this term Ashwatha. This Ashwatha word, there are three components to it. A means not, Shva means tomorrow, and Satha means existing. That which will not be tomorrow. No matter how long it lives, but still there is an end to this physical world. And sansar is a word that indicates the world of finite objects. Death and destruction is constantly happening. When we look at our family tree also, whom do we put on the top? Parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. We have reverence for them. Some of them are not here now, but still we put them up. Reverence for them. So in short, this Upanishad wants us to understand only the simple fact that this world is finite. Its roots are in truth. Maintain itself from the nourishments drawn from the absolute truth. So sansar, this sansar of polarity will end. It will not be here tomorrow. But the roots are connected with that truth. So this sansar is a tree mainly because it can be cut down. We learned that in Bhagavad Gita. This sansar can be cut down. removed once and forever with the firm axe of discrimination, vivek. When it's snatched from us, it's painful. But when we cut it down ourselves, because we are cutting it down with a vivek, by understanding, proper understanding, then it's not painful. So this is what is bringing our attention to. Let's do one more verse and then we'll stop. Yat idam kinch jagat sarvam prane ejati nisritam mahat bhayam vajram udhyatam ye etat te vidu amrita bhavanti. Yat means which, idam means this, kinch, whatever, jagat, the whole universe, sarvam, all, prane, the pran, being present, ejati, vibrates, nisritam, having emerged, that means from the Brahma, mahat, great, bhayam, fear, terror, vajram, thunderbolt, udhyatam, uplifted, ye means who, etat means this, te means they, vidu, no, amritaha, immortal, bhavanti, become. This whole universe evolved from the Brahma. That's why we say, Om Purnam Idam, right? So the whole universe evolved from the Brahma, moves, vibrates in the Pran. And over here, this Pran means the Brahma. Okay, this is not a vital energy he is talking about. The highest Brahm. The Brahm is a great terror. Bhai, like an uplifted thunderbolt. Those who know this become immortal. I want you to think about this week, and I will explain it to you next week. I want you to use your own thinking power here. What is he trying to tell us? Normally we say that we should not have bhai. The greatest quality of a jnani or a bhagat is abhaya. Over here, what does he mean by bhai? Think about it, and we'll definitely, I would like to hear from you. What do you think? And then if I need to elaborate on it, I will. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Vishishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.